again?
Pimpin', Rachel.
If you didn't see the top of the show, well, I'm sorry for you. We're still recovering from our trade deadline extravaganza yesterday. Speaking of which, I want to give some love to our buyers and sellers board. Our creative services crew here at The Jump is fantastic. It's a bit of a mess because some teams both bought and sold and whatever. And it's, you know, the Warriors are still.
It was fun, though.
The Warriors. I love the board. Speaking of moves, on Wednesday, the Wizards traded Otto Porter to the Bulls for Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker. Bulls president of basketball operations John Paxson later explained his reasoning for the trade. And Portis gave a little running play-by-play on Twitter to Paxson's comments. First, there was Paxson saying that he didn't want to overpay Portis as a backup, to which Bobby wrote, LOL. And then a comment made by someone else on Twitter saying, quote, finding another Portis is easier than finding another Markkanen. And then Bobby wrote, they won't. So there you go. Pip, does Bobby have reason to feel slighted by the Bulls?
Well, I mean, every player has his opinion about who he is as a player.
Right.
And I'm sure Bobby feels that he is the best player. And we will find out in time which one of these players will turn out to be the best player. But it was a situation where both of these players playing the same position. I think it was best for Bobby that he moved on. And I think obviously right now Markkanen is a little bit ahead of him in terms of the NBA game. And I think the Bulls made the right choice.
You know, the Portis and the Bulls were relatively close to a contract extension last fall. And Portis got hurt. I don't know if that had how much of it that had to do with it. But I felt like they probably were within range. So it was kind of surprising that they moved on. But they did that because a player came available that they had wanted for years. They had tried to trade for Otto Porter for a while. And so it wasn't so much that they didn't like Bobby Portis.
Right,
it was that they said, we can get Otto and it costs us Bobby. We want to do that as an organization. But I can understand this is the first time Portis has been traded. I can understand he's in his feelings a little bit.
Well, we know he's a little emotional. Remember the fight with Mirotic?
Yes. I'm not fighting with Bobby Portis.
No,
I'll tell you that
absolutely.
right now.
I believe these two teams play each other tomorrow, so we'll get to see. Right, Bobby Portis will have the chance to go out.
Better get ready for that game.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you really, I mean, I don't want to start judging who would win in a back alley fight, but
I know who would win. I'm quite aware.
I think Nico Mirotic knows who would win. All right, I want to go to Portis' new team. Here's a look at the moves the Wizards made before the end of the trade deadline. They decided to hang on to Bradley Beal. Right now, Trevor Ariza is still on that roster. They still, of course, have John Wall, who's expected to be out at least 12 months with a ruptured Achilles tendon. So we know that they got under the tax.
Yes.
And that seemed to be sort of, once the Wall thing happened, they were like, okay, we're not paying the luxury tax for this team. What else were they trying to do, though? Because I still can't tell. Are they trying to make the playoffs? Are they not trying to make the playoffs? Are they rebuilding? What are we doing?
Well, on one hand, in fairness to them, their entire world changed, you know, when Wall got hurt. Although we found out about it this week, but they knew about it. They knew about it for longer. This does seem like a half measure, because they left Trevor Ariza, who probably had value on their roster.
And by the way, it's only signed to a one-year deal.
I know, and it's really going to look bad if they struggle for the next 3 weeks and Ariza requests a buyout before March 1st, puts them in a weird spot. Teams were calling them, and they were kind of frustrated that they weren't going more all in. But I will say this. They did cut $50 million from their payroll the next 2 years, and they got their owner out of the tax this year, and they can at least look at their team and say, we can keep Ariza if we want to. We can keep Bobby Portis if we want to. And they gave themselves an opportunity to get better. Thomas Satoransky is a free agent. I kind of understand it, but I also understand why people are scratching their heads.
I mean, I think that they realize that they missed this window opportunity. Right. LeBron James has left the East, and we know that the Wizards have always challenged them in terms of playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. But now I feel like Porter was part of that sort of big three, and now that window with Wall getting hurt has sort of vanished away for them. So now they have to look down 2-3 years down the road, and I think Porter, with the money that he had on their salary cap, wasn't going to be that third piece that they need.
But Ariza isn't even 5 minutes down the road, you know. So.
Well, but Scotty's right. How many times did John Wall and Bradley Beal look at me, look at you in the face and say, we are going to beat the Cavs, we are going to challenge LeBron James? And I always loved the bravado, personally. I mean, I grew up in Washington, and there were a lot of teams where nobody on that team thought that they could win much of anything. So that was exciting to have someone who thought they could do something, but they never did.
If Washington was healthy this season, they would be the team come out of the East. But
man,
I
don't know.
can't
I've heard it too many times.
We've said that before. Well, not coming out. But
I need to show, not tell something.
That's the way they felt.
I do want to get to jump ball because we got to play a few rounds here. First up, I want to know who's the bigger deal. Marc Gasol to the Raptors, Scotty, or Nikola Mirotic to the Bucks? Which move do you like more?
I like Mirotic to the Bucks. Marc Gasol is a great player, but I think his time has passed him up. I think his window. He doesn't have that youth, and I think Mirotic will help the Bucks instantly. Him and Giannis out there playing that 4-5, tough matchup. Those guys very versatile. I think it really helps the Bucks, is giving an opportunity to really open up the court more for Giannis.
These were both really good trades in terms of what they sent out and what they got back. I don't want to say anything bad about Marc Gasol, but that Mirotic move got me.
Love it.
It got me so excited because he fits so well. I think Gasol, there may be a little bit of a transition, although they run some of their offense through him on the elbow. That will be good. I just love that trade for the Bucks so much.
I'm not knocking Marc Gasol, but I know at
he's not
34
the defensive
years
player of the year anymore.
age, and a player who's played professionally even before he got in the NBA, he's got a lot of miles on that body.
I hadn't realized this, the entire history of the Memphis franchise, there has been at least one Gasol player playing in every game.
Oh.
And I had obviously, we know their long history as a family with the franchise, and Mark, of course, went to high school in Memphis because Pal played there, but I hadn't realized that they had never played a game in the franchise history without a Gasol brother.
Is there another one coming down the pipeline?
I don't know.
I think we're out of Gasol's.
I think we might be out of Gasol's, but maybe get an extra holiday brother or something in there. Or something
they have
like
a holiday.
Well, I know we get an extra one, so we could get like the two. Okay. Right, that's my point. All right, next up, better fit for the Lakers. Carmelo Anthony, whose name has been connected there, or Markieff Morris, who the LA Times suggested this morning could be a buyout target for them.
Well, first off, Markieff has been hurt. He's had a neck injury, so you have to make sure he's healthy. But he's been an active, part of a roster player. Carmelo has barely played this season. So I know that the banana boat and all that stuff, but I think if you can get Markieff Morris to the Lakers, it would be a really nice addition.
Scotty, how have we gotten to a point in the NBA where someone can just casually be like, I know the banana boat, but, and there's no explanation needed, there's nothing. We're like, oh yeah, of course, the banana boat. Continue, I'm sorry.
I do think that Carmelo is a better fit. Him and LeBron James have some familiarity. I think bringing in Markieff would just cost more time for them to get comfortable with playing with each other. But Carmelo, as we know, he can score the basketball. He's got over 25,000 points in this league, and if the Lakers need anything, it's someone to put the ball in the hole.
I think I should point out that Markieff Morris is represented by Rich Paul.
When has that ever been relevant on this team?
Just thought I should point it out.
Curious. Wayne Ellington, I know that you had mentioned as thinking that he was a good buyout candidate for the Lakers. I saw reporting this morning that he was probably headed to the Pistons.
Yeah, Woj had that story this morning.
Does that feel like a missed opportunity for the Lakers?
Well, the Lakers need every top possible shooter they can get. I'd like to applaud them for actually getting some shooters this week. I don't know why they didn't get him in July. He would have been a great fit. He was shooting 57% on threes with the Heat earlier this year.
So why weren't they more in that mix with him?
Well, I don't know. I think he might have seen a more minutes opportunity in Detroit. The Lakers do have quite a few backcourt players, and eventually Lonzo will come back, in the next few weeks and play. I just don't know if Ellington was in a numbers game in Miami. I don't know if he wanted to be in another numbers game.
All right, so let's get to the big one. Anthony Davis, more likely to land AD now. Do you guys pick the Celtics or the field? Scotty, what do you got?
I'm going to play the field.
Okay.
I think Pops put it down that
Anthony Davis Sr.?
So
all right.
I'm going to follow that and say that he's probably not going to want to play for Boston.
I don't like Scotty is so on a roll today. I agree with everything that he said. I don't want to be on the wrong side of him, but the Celtics have the best package to offer. And I just think that ultimately they'll roll the dice and say, we believe we can convince Anthony to stay, and I think they're going to make the best offer. And I think if he gets traded, which nowhere has been said that they are definitely going to trade him, I
wanted to talk to you about another entry here. This is Bucks owner Mark Lazary. Now remember, Milwaukee was on Anthony Davis's supposed list, and he said today, we hope it would be players like Anthony Davis and others who want to come to Milwaukee. And I'm not sure, I'm going to, excuse me if I get this wrong, I think I read this was like a season ticket holder event or something like that, and I believe he was talking generally just sort of about the franchise being attractive. But look, I don't think there should be tampering rules in the NBA because so much of it happens that it seems just like random who gets picked as being like, oh, you're tampering when everyone else is tampering. That being said, shouldn't that be if that's not tampering?
Yeah, I don't know if he was saying that to the media or what. It's the first I've heard of it. But I will say that it's fair to point out.
There was media that reported it.
Yeah, but doesn't mean they were there. It's first I want to point out that the Milwaukee Bucks have a max salary slot this summer. Nobody talks about it because it's Milwaukee and whatever. And everybody's like LA, New York, Clippers, Brooklyn, Dallas. If somebody wants to go play with Giannis, now granted they would have to let Chris Middleton go. But if a free agent wanted to go play with Giannis for one of the best coaches in the league, and Mike Budenholzer, where they have fantastic facilities, the Bucks will accept their meeting. And nobody's talking about the Bucks, but they have a max slot this summer. And I just think it's Mark Lazary, whether he gets fined for this or not, it might be worth just reminding everybody that they're in the game.
I mean, Scotty, I don't think anybody. This seems so silly to me. It feels like players don't they don't read? They don't have their own agency? They don't know? You don't think that whoever the KD or Kawhi or whoever they are going to know that the Bucks have a max salary slot? They need Mark Lazary to tell them?
You know what? I haven't seen the Bucks
Anthony
mentioned
Davis
ever.
Okay, but Anthony Davis doesn't need Mark Lazary to tell him that playing with Giannis and being in Milwaukee is attractive.
I'm not sure
players have agency. Players
I'm not sure that that's 100% true.
You don't what? You don't think that Anthony Davis knows that
Anthony
Giannis
Davis knows because he put them on the list,
about.
but I'm not sure everybody.
They're going to have to get Giannis to buy in that it's legal to recruit in this league. I know he don't want to do it.
Well,
yeah,
no,
clearly on his draft he wasn't
feeling bad, but he is the one who said, didn't he say, oh, you'd look good in a Bucks uniform when the two of them played or something like that? I don't know.
The Bucks have more salary cap space than the Lakers.
I understand the theory behind the tampering rules. I just think that the application is just so scattershot that I don't know why we're
not just the application, but the enforcement.
That's what the application of the rules is so. Anyway, our board is finally in order. All of our questions have been answered. I'm so proud. So let's get ready to tear it all down again as we approach free agency. In fact, yes, people. See, I have my crank. I kind of want my crank. We are only 3,400 hours away from free agency. Let the countdown begin, Scotty. I'd like you to just sort of.
Don't do it.
Make our board. Yeah. Upside down.
Let me get it right.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Fantastic. It's going to look so good. All right, keep it locked because coming up, we will talk to last year's #1 draft pick, DeAndre Ayton, who shares his hopes for his draft class and tells us about his relationship with #3 pick, Luka Doncic. But first, let's go to our second distant replay of the day. This is from the year 2000.
One of the greatest court designs of all time.
Yeah, I was about to say that.